Holy crap, Kinda Funny is going to be at PAX East in a major way. Friday morning at 11:30 will be the Kinda Funny panel with the whole podcast crew, and Saturday will be the Kinda Funny / Hitman party at Coppersmith at 8 p.m. We'll also be part of 6 other panels throughout the weekend, like Paxomania and Deus Ex, so check kindafunny.com/PAX East for all the details. Next topic. And that could have been it, but I was like, you know what? We'll just put that in there as a long thing. Yeah, who cares? Everybody loves this. What I want to talk about is love blooming on the battlefield. Love in the games industry.
Yeah.
You are in a relationship with this Alexa Ray Cornea, I believe is how you pronounce it.
Korea, as in the country.
No, as in the eyeball. No?
There's no N in the middle. Korea. Corriea. Korea.
Okay.
That is not even...
No, I know how to say her name. This is all for the visual gag. That's the visual gag.
I thought you were literally writing a note. I'm like, that's gibberish, sir. Your penmanship is atrocious.
I want to talk to you about this. I date Christine Steimer, also in the video game industry. I met her at IGN. When you set off to do this, when you started falling in love with her, what was that like? I mean, you're dating someone in the industry. Or did you ever think you would? Did you ever think you didn't want to do that? Did you ever were there those kind of loaded questions?
I was always... Jesus Christ, Greg, relax. I always told myself that I would avoid 2 specific things in any relationship. So, well, 3 things. So I was always like, I never understood I need a gamer girl. Like, I don't give a shit. Like, do what makes you happy. If that's cool.
Do you?
Yeah. I never expected anyone to be like, oh, I love games because you love games and we're gonna love games. It's like, I don't care. Just don't get mad at me because I play Dota. That's it.
Sure.
That's all I require. I also never wanted to date anybody primarily at IGN and definitely not somebody in the industry. Mm-hmm. Because it's just like there's too many close friends, mutual friends, like professional compromises you need to make or whatever. I definitely did not want to do long distance. And I have absolutely done most of those things. Like Alexa is, when I was at IGN, primary competitor at GameSpot.
Yeah.
Worked at Polygon when we started dating. Lived in New York. I lived in San Francisco. I am now moving to Montreal and she's staying in San Francisco. So like this is our second time doing long distance after we were like, finally, we don't have to do long distance anymore. That was terrible. Let's never do that. Let's do long distance.
How long was long distance the first time?
Almost a year.
Oh, wow. Okay. And now it's indefinite.
And we were bad at it because long distance is hard.
Long distance sucks, yeah.
It is real hard to let's be on the phone, but I'm busy right now and you're busy later and I got to eat and shit. Like, we got to figure something out. You have to schedule, it's weird because when you're in the same city or the same apartment as somebody, you just go home and oh, cool, this is our lives together always. Yep. Now it's I need to literally schedule time to talk to you. It's fucking crazy.
And then you feel like you have to have something to talk about.
Yeah, and sometimes you don't. Yep. And I'm super comfortable just sitting on the phone and not talking for a long period of time. And some people aren't, and some people are. And I don't know, if you're in a good relationship, you figure that out.
Yeah. Yeah, that's the thing with, Christine just moved to LA at the beginning of the year or whatever, and us getting into that rhythm of how this works and how it is. But it's it is that thing of man, I love her and she's the best. She's my best friend and da-da-da. Yeah. But what did you do today? I'm like, same Colin and Greg live. We yelled at Kevin. This thing didn't go well, and Nick got real mad, and then I got real mad, and then we did a podcast, and now I'm exhausted, and I just ate, and I feel like I have about 30 minutes to game before I'm going to fall asleep, so can we stop talking?
Yeah.
And luckily, she gets that.
Well,
you know what I mean?
So Christine's also in a unique position that I'm about to be in, which is what did you do today? Literally cannot tell you. I signed scary NDAs, and we cannot talk about it.
Yeah,
so
exactly.
Now I need to improvise and be well, I had a really good conversation with this person, then we had a really cool lunch at this place. How about you?
Yeah. And she's I can't tell you anything I saw either.
Let's avoid, I hate talking about work. Sure. Outside of work.
So that's what's fascinating for me, and especially with your relationship. So it's a bit of a Romeo and Juliet in terms of Montagues and Capulets or whatever. You were, and I think you, correct me if I'm wrong, kind of got hired after the rah IGN fuck GameSpot, because there was a time when it was where it was I think GameSpot people weren't allowed to talk to IGN people at events, and we were always we got to crush them and because when I was there, it came from behind at one point.
When I was freelancing and I was at events, it was very clear to me that GameSpot people existed over here, IGN people existed over here, and you could talk to one of them, but it was never it was so weird to me, why aren't these people social? Because as a freelancer, I try to talk to everybody.
Yeah.
And when I started, it was our group of people talked to fucking everyone at events. And it was oh, this is different. Yeah. People didn't really do this. So it was I caught the tail end of that.
So was it weird? Because you were already dating when she took that job. So was that a conversation?
She was at Polygon when we started dating. And it was nobody brought it, like they were like, haha, the enemy, haha. But it was like, that was it. Nobody mentioned us to like, yay, the demise of our enemies. Like that attitude didn't really exist.
Okay.
Thankfully.
Yeah. Did you have to have a conversation with anybody?
No.
Okay, good.
Okay, it's one of those things like you really, are you going to tell me I can't? Like,
all right, luck. Dad. Well, I remember
exactly.
like when Steimer and I started dating, she was working at IGN. And like, you know.
Well, that's like a HR thing. You're like,
and that was the thing. I remember I was in Tokyo and I walked over, we were there for TGS, and it was like, all right, we've been dating long enough. This is like an official thing. I should tell Tal. And I walked over and knocked on Tal's door and came in. He's like, hey, what's up? I'm like, Christy and I are dating. He's like, okay. I'm like, do we have to sign anything HR? He's like, no, neither are your bosses. What do we care? I'm like, all right, see ya, bye.
Pretty much.
Like, he didn't care. He text back there. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, and the thing we talked about was like, because there were like when she was transitioning out of Polygon to try to come out here, like she was talking to IGN, she was talking to GameSpot, she was talking to whoever else she was talking to, and she was like really, really excited about Spot. And that's where she ended up, obviously.
Yeah.
But there were moments where it's like, shit, if you come to IGN, like we'll be in the same office all day, we'll be seeing each other.
Right.
Someday you might work for me or I might work for you. And it's like those conversations start getting weird.
Oh, yeah.
It's like we need to think about like what are our careers if we work at the same company? Or like if you're a direct competitor, how does that work? Like what is how do we talk to each other at events? Like
what did you decide? Like how did that get weird? Did you come home and like
no, because
was it everything's on the table, or was it we're not going to talk about what happened here behind closed doors?
I just never really talked about it because neither of us really cared. It wasn't like she was like, okay, what did you learn today? What secrets
and you could just be like, I don't know anything about Final Fantasy. She's like, all right, cool, thanks, don't care.
No, we just led normal lives. Like after hours, it was like, okay, cool, let's like go to a bar and see our friends and go home and watch Netflix and like do regular things. Like,
sure.
The video game industry people that we were just vanished. It was like, no, we're just human beings now.
Interesting.
I don't know. Yeah, I tried to like, I don't know. I'm not super thrilled to talk about work outside of work most of the time.
Mm-hmm.
Like, okay, we worked all day, and now let's go to a bar, and everyone's gonna complain about work. I'm like, just stop talking.
Yeah, you know, it's
or like, don't talk about the thing we did all day that was awesome. I was there. We don't need to like. Let's just talk about our lives and other cool things and. Like, I don't know.
When Christy and I worked together, like, and lived together, and we're dating the first time because we broke up for a year. Like, that was what led it to it is the fact that we couldn't get out of that cycle. Where be that we would be, our relationship was founded on AIM, like IMing each other at work or whatever.
Like flirtatious
totally.
IMs all day.
And then she wasn't sure if they were real. So then when I took her on the first date and I was like, I'll pay for this. It's a date. She goes, is it? I was like, oh no. But she also did this really cute thing where she was in the old IGN office where we had the giant desks. She was on the other side of it. Or like I was in here and then she's a row over, so I couldn't see her though. But I would write jokes to her or whatever, whenever I'd say, because I'm a real funny guy. And she'd literally laugh out loud and then she'd write lol. And I'd be like, I can hear you. Like, but it's also adorable because when I write lol, it's just like, like, oh, that was funny. I don't know. Anyways,
I only write lol when I lol.
You only, but that was the thing is like you got into that rhythm of we would IM all day about something that was happening at work, then talk about it on the walk home from work, and then eat and talk about it, and then you know, it's like, oh my god, like this is a nightmare.
So Alexa and I, we knew each other because like, oh, you're that Polygon girl, you're that IGN guy. Okay, we met at an event like playing Titanfall together. Yeah, and it was like after a PAX thing. It was like the after hours fight club with with the Respawn team. So we just played a bunch of Titanfall and we were like, haha, fuck this AI person who sucks, haha. I have a nice life. And we didn't talk for a long time after that. But it was like Goldfarb went to New York for a work trip and they got drinks. And she was like, oh my God, I just started Buffy. And he's like, I don't care. You start Mitch. Mitch loves Buffy. Here's his number. And we just talked about Buffy. And everything we ever talked about. Wait, so
she just called you out of the blue one day? Or
yeah, it was like, hey,
you?
It's Alexa. I love Buffy. Oh my God, I'm in season 1 and it's weird and it's cool. What do you... And we just started bullshitting about this show. And it was like a year later, we started dating. It was like nothing, like we never had this flirtatious relationship before that. It wasn't like, oh, this is all going somewhere.
Sure.
It was just like, oh, it's that Polygon girl talking about Buffy. This is great. I love Buffy. And we bullshitted about other TV shows and games we were playing. And it was just like texting a friend. So we never really had the like industry person association. It was just like, oh, this is this cool person that I know. Oh, they're coming to San Francisco to hang out. Cool. Let's hang out. So suddenly we're dating.
I was going to say, when did you notice you were going from just being industry friends to
She came out for a GDC and we just started like hanging out. Like I was like, oh, cool, you're coming. Like I'll come out to East Bay and hang out with you and like the people you're staying with.
Sure.
And because we were all mutual friends and shit. And it was like, we just spent a whole bunch of time together and it was like, oh, I think this girl's super fucking cool. Anne-Maurice, do you think she thinks I'm super fucking cool? And we just ended up going out a bunch and like we had a friend. So we were like, oh, we're all going to go out and get dinner one night. And then everybody like coordinated to bail on us.
You're at a table for 12, just you two. You're like,
exactly.
Wow.
And we're like, shit, I guess it's just us because like the XYZ bailed. Oh, so did ABC. Shit, it's just us. And we just like, we're like, oh, fuck, this is accidentally a date. And it's going really well because we weren't thinking about it being a date. So there's no pressure. Yeah, and it was just like, oh, like you and I click really well because we have a good rapport based on texting for a year about bullshit.
Sure.
And none of it was like, oh, let's complain about our jobs or talk about the things we love doing at our jobs.
Let me tell you what I hate about you as a competitor.
Exactly.
Yeah,
like, yeah, I don't know. We just never really talked about that because I didn't really care. Like, I don't care what Polygon's opinion of IGN is.
True. You shouldn't. Nobody should care about what the other opinion are because if you're sitting there gossiping like that, go fuck yourself. Who cares?
Just do your fucking job.
I only care what Boogie thinks of me, and that's it. So, I guess then, what about this move, this change? You're going back to long distance, and like you're bad at it, and you know it sucks. Like, how much does that weigh on both of you?
We were bad at it, and the thing I think now is like we were bad at it when we were figuring out what the relationship was.
Yeah.
And now it's like, oh, we're in love. And we've been together for 2 years, and like it's gonna be hard and it's gonna suck because long distance fucking sucks. And like if you can avoid it, recommend you do so. But it's like, oh, like I love this person and I care enough about them that I'm willing to have this like strained relationship where I'm far away and you're far away, but like I care about you enough that we're gonna do this because I would rather be in a relationship with you and far away than in a relationship with somebody else close. Which I don't know, like I think that says a lot. Like you and Christine staying together is fucking awesome. Like I love that. And it sucks for you guys, but it's still me going like, yeah, that's the shit. Good job, guys. Like I appreciate and respect the hell out of that.
Thank you.
So now we're like, okay, we were bad at long distance. We're totally different people than we were then.
Sure.
Like it's been 2 years since we were like, I think I like you and this is hard and call me. And now it's like we spend every fucking day together and we cook dinners together every night. And it sucks that we're not gonna be able to do that. But at the same time, like she can just like throw open her laptop, throw on FaceTime and call me and she'll cook dinner and we'll just talk.
Good point. Yeah.
And it's, I don't know. I used to think it was like, that was such a half measure for a relationship, but it's really not. Like talking to somebody is talking to somebody and it's not as great if they aren't in the same room, but it works and it's good. And it's like, that is how you connect to a person, whether it's somebody you're in a relationship with or somebody you're just like, oh, I haven't talked to my mom in a while. I'll FaceTime them.
Right.
Like it's about maintaining that relationship and being like, oh, like you need support, call me.
It's one of those two for me that I think it mixes the sweet with the sour in a way. You know what I mean? In the way that like when I'm sad or depressed, which happens once in a while, it's like it's worse because it's just me and Porty or whatever. You know what I mean? I don't want to call Christine Bugger down. But then when we're together, like all of a sudden that's, you know, because we lived together for forever. You know what I mean?
Sure.
And it totally was one of those like, you know, I became a Guild Wars 2 widower here where I'd be like, I'd come home, she'd go play, I'd cook dinner, she'd come out and eat as fast as she could and then run back to her dungeon. And it's like, it was awesome and fine, don't get me wrong. Yeah. But we did shit like that all the time where we took each other's time for granted. Sure. That we were in the same room and I'd sit out here and watch something or she'd play something or vice versa. And we, you know, we didn't really talk. So now to sit down and really talk is different. Yeah. To go, like, you know, she came up for GDC and then we went to South by together and like to have each other around for those things, those occasions, those parties, it's different than when it would be a random, I'm going to go do this, you know, IGN bar goodbye thing. You want to come? No, I'm good. All right, whatever.
Yeah. Yeah, now it's going to be like, I don't know. There's a lot of stuff like, because we have a lot of mutual friends. So now it's going to be hard for me to like, oh, you're going out tonight. Cool. You should totally go like hang out with Marty and then send me a million pictures and make me really sad.
Right.
No, like that kind of thing sucks. But it's also like, I miss this and I want you to go have that good time, even though I'm jealous I can't be there.
Yeah, no, that was the thing over the weekend. Christine went to a friend's birthday party down in LA. And it's like totally one of those, I would never miss this. Except that it's Scott Lowe's bachelor party. You know what I mean? And so I had to tell her to stop sending photos. I'm like, hey, I love everything that's happening here. It's breaking my heart not to be there with you on your arm to see all this and celebrate this person. You know what I mean? You got to stop right there. And those are the, you know, the boundaries and I think you find to test it all out.
Yeah. I don't know. It's interesting because like you mentioned, like when you're depressed, you go to her for support. We have this interesting conundrum where when I'm bummed out, like when I get hit with a wave of depression, I'm like, leave me the fuck alone. Like I just want to be alone. I want to read a book in a quiet room alone. And obviously because Alexa is a caring person, she's like, what can I do to help? And I'm like,
get the fuck away from me.
Literally nothing. Like this will pass. It's fine. Like the fact that you care enough to ask is more than enough. Yeah. I'm good. Thank you. Whereas when she gets upset, it's like, I have the same thing where I'm like, how can I help? She's like, just sit with me. Just spend time with me.
Yeah.
So we have the opposite issue.
Interesting.
And now that I'm moving away, it's like, well, if I get upset, I'm good.
Great. Yeah.
Problem is solved. But if she's hurting, I'm like, fuck, I can't do anything. Like, I am so helpless to be able to support you when you need me. Like, that feeling sucks.
Yeah. Did you, I mean, how much of a discussion was it? Were you talking about letting, this sounds horrible, but letting the relationship get in the way of this goal, this job, this kind of next dream that's being handed to you?
We talked about a lot of hypotheticals, right? Like, what if we just stopped dating?
Steimer and I did the same thing.
And it's like, that's a shitty conversation to have, and neither of us wanted it. And we're like, okay, well, like, what do we want? This. Okay, so we agree. Then we're staying together. We'll figure it out.
Yeah.
But like, you have to weigh the options and figure out like what is best for everyone here. How do we like? Is ripping off the Band-Aid better for everyone? We both agree no. Great, let's not do that.
Yeah.
And you just have to be like, you have to in any relationship be super fucking transparent about that kind of stuff, because like if I said, hey, would this be easier for you if we just stopped dating altogether? And if her answer was like, yeah, honestly, like I really don't want to do long distance and it would be really painful to be in a relationship while you're not here. Okay. Then that's like, that fucking sucks for a million reasons, but like, that's best for you. Let's do that.
Yeah.
But ultimately, we both kind of came to the decision of like, hey, I care about you and I love you a lot. I would rather try this and just totally fuck it up and ruin everything.
That's what we did.
Then say, you know what? We had a good run. Let's throw in the towel and not worry about what might have been.
Yeah.
Like I would rather stay with it and go like, oh, I fucked up. I was a bad boyfriend and now, okay.
Yeah.
Like I would rather.
At least you know. You know what I mean? It says, so what we always talk about with Kind of Funny, where we could, there was those discussions of like, maybe we don't jump now, but if we don't jump now, we're going to always sit here and go, what if we had jumped now?
Yeah, and it's always about accountability, like being responsible for your own life and having control over your own life and compromising that with somebody else's wants and needs. That's like, if you can find a happy compromise that makes both people happy, you've done a good job with your relationship. And sometimes it's really fucking hard and sometimes there is no compromise. But thankfully, she's awesome and understanding and totally excited about my new job and encourages me to do it. And we're just like, yeah, like this is so important to me to do this. And you super understand that we're just going to figure it out.
Yeah. Were games a big part of your relationship here? Like, no?
No. We've played some stuff together. Like we played through Firewatch together and we played through Oxenfree and we played some games we were reviewing at the same time together, but it wasn't like, oh yeah, like every Friday we sit down and we have a co-op game. Like we just didn't do that because like games were our job. So we came home, we're like, let's do anything else. Like let's sit in the living room silently and eat an amazing dinner that we cooked together and read. Never talk. Or let's sit and watch Netflix shows for 16 hours on a Saturday. Or let's go out on a date and not talk about work or video games. Like games are such a huge, major, important part of my life, but they are not an important part of my relationship at all in any capacity, whether it's work or personal or whatever. And sometimes it'll come up where I'm like, oh, yeah, like how was the Final Fantasy event? Like tell me all about this work trip you went on for this game you're excited about. And that becomes a like excited point of conversation or whatever. But
she talk about us, how good we were.
Of course.
Thank you.
But it's never like I don't know. Every now and then she'll ask me like, how are the Dota games last night? And I'm like, yeah, they were fun. Like it's not. The question is not really about the game because she doesn't give a shit about Dota 2. She's like, how was your evening with like, oh, it's great. I got to hang out with Jay and Brian and Miranda and they all said hello and we had a really good time. We cracked some jokes. I caught up with some friends on the East Coast. It was great. Cool. And that becomes the conversation rather than like, let's talk about our experiences with video games. Like, we don't do we both reviewed a game. Let's have an analytical conversation. Sure. We just don't care.
Yeah. Like that's the one thing like Steimer and I need, like it wasn't every weekend for sure, but there was a lot of co-op gaming where it's like, let's move the other let's have the two screens set up. And we like, when she came up this last trip, I re-rolled a Division character, a true sign of love, so that I could play with her. Because why the fuck would you, of course, Division developers make a way for people to play with their high level characters with the lower level character? Why would anybody want that? No,
it's fine. It's not like that's been a problem since Diablo 2.
It's not like a million games have solved it like Guild Wars 2. It doesn't matter at all. No, nobody should have thought that through.
No, that's the thing is like now maybe that does become part of our lives. Maybe that is a really good way that we can like do stuff together, because like you can go out on dates and you can go out with friends and you can go home and watch Netflix and that's doing something together.
Yeah,
we can't do things together in different places. We can talk on Skype, we can talk on FaceTime, whatever, but the act of like, oh, we did that together doesn't really exist, and games were a really fucking great way to do that. So maybe that'll change. Maybe that's something we do more of.
Make her play the Dotas. There you go.
No, she won't. No.
Lost cause.
I would never do that to her.